How's it going, guys? I'm back again today and I want to show you one of the best starting outpost locations that you could make in your save. It's going to be a particularly good one to get earlier on in the game, but even mid-game or just at any point it's decent. And this is because it's going to be a place that you can get up to 4 resources in one single outpost, so you can save your precious number of outposts, get everything efficiently in one area, make it a home base and that kind of thing. So to begin with, I'm going to go over the resources that you're going to need. I'm just going to drag in my crazy notepad document here, as you guys can see. This one's going to be giving us helium-3, aluminium, beryllium, and iron. And I've broken down all of the resources here so that you can have 3 extractors for each kind, so that you can have 6 power sources, which is enough to power all of it, and then 2 storage units for each type of resource, giving a total resources of down here. But to make it a bit easier for you, what I've actually done is already got that in game. So to go to my resources here, this is all of the resources that you can basically make a checklist of if you want to make it exactly as I am, but you could do it with dramatically less resources than what I have here if you don't want to have as many extractors and storage boxes to put everything in. But if you want to make it like I do, with 3 extractors and 2 resource boxes each, obviously the power is going to be needed as well, but the power will change based on how many extractors you use, so you might not need all of these resources, but if you use all of these, you can make it exactly like I do. So I hope this helps as a little shopping list. A quick tip is that obviously you can go and manually mine these resources on planets, but things like adaptive frames can be bought very easily. There's a very good shop in New Atlantis. You want to check the UC distribution center and the mercantile shop or something like that that's in the sort of spaceport area. These things will sell resources to you, so you can easily buy these resources over the course of a couple vendor refreshes, and the adaptive frames as well. You can just buy these if you need to, so you can get going pretty early on. So the first thing that you're going to want is to check your map. So we zoom all the way out. We're going to be going to the Narian system, which, as you can see, if you just go from Alpha Centauri, which is where New Atlantis is, you can go up and then you can go right and you get to the Narian system. It also has Valo here, but we're going to be going on to Narian. So once you come into this solar system, you can then see here there's a little moon here, which is the one that we're going to be doing. So right next to this big planet, Sumati, there's going to be Androphon, if I'm saying it correctly. This is the moon that we're going to be making our outpost on. We can also scan it for resources. So fly here and scan it for resources like I've just done. You can see this one has helium, aluminium, iron, beryllium, and even this exotic resource as well. By the way, I have been saying aluminum a lot in my last videos. Obviously, Americans say aluminum. Over here in Britain, we say aluminium. A lot of you guys are American watching, so I've just been saying aluminum, but it's the same thing. You guys know what's up. So scan it for resources. I'm going to explain how you can find the outpost location that you want with basically all 4 of these in one outpost location. It will take a bit of exploring, but I'm going to walk you guys through it. You can see here, I've already prepped an outpost here, which is exactly on this spot, and I'll show you why it's on this spot as well. This is very important. This is going to save you time, and this is what you will need to do to get it all in one outpost. So if we find a location such as, let's find a good spot, because this outpost spot was a really, really good one. Let's use this outpost spot of mine as an example, because it's basically the perfect spot, which is where I found it. So you can see here the color code matches the color code on the side for the resources. So this sort of red-brown is going to be iron. This darker green is going to be the aluminium. And then this lighter green is going to be the helium. And the beryllium is just going to be spawning just in these areas as well, as is this legendary resource as well. So if we zoom all the way in so it gets a bit pixelated, we can then click for our landing spot. And on the landing spot, you can see here the type of zone or biome that we're going to land in. So this is a mountainous area, which is where the iron spawns. Meanwhile, over here where the aluminium spawns is going to be a craters zone. So what you want to do is just kind of click between the two until you can find a sweet spot as close as you can to each other. And that's where you want to land. So mountains, 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 craters. So what we could do is then land here. So let's go and travel there and land there, and I'll give you guys an example of finding the perfect spot. Because we're going to have to essentially find the point where 2 different biomes meet, and that is going to be where we're going to set up the outpost. So you can see here this sort of area is very red colored, as you can see on the floor. Different biomes actually have completely different color palettes. And what you might have to do, even though we've landed right on the edge, is do a bit of running to find the area. So if we open up our map again and we zoom all the way in and we scan it, you can see we've landed here. And if we just want to go west, so north is up, west is left, we should get to iron. So in the actual game itself, we could follow our compass in the lower corner and we could basically head west. And if we go far enough, we will actually get to the edge of the biome. And what you want to do as well is you can open up your scanner and press R to place your outpost. And you can see in the top left corner the resources that are in range of the outpost. This is super important. So as you're running around, you can just hold your outpost, but you can also just save it until you get to the edge of the biome, because you're going to need to be where those two biomes meet. So like you can see on the screen now, eventually you're going to find the edge of the biome after exploring enough. This can take some time, so prepare yourself. It might take 5 or 10 minutes. Just keep going until you can visually see the other biome on the horizon, get to the point where they join, and then basically walk along the point where they join and keep moving around the outpost until you get a sweet spot that has all of the resources in one. Again, this can take a little bit of time, but you definitely, certainly can find it. I mean, I found it myself. It just takes a little bit of time. Not even that long. You just have to be patient. But once you have that outpost spot with all the resources that you want in one single spot where the two biomes meet, place down your actual outpost, and that's going to be where we're going to build our base. So you can see here, I already actually have made one here, so I'm going to fast travel to this outpost that I've just literally plonked it down, as you guys have seen. So here we are at the outpost that I plonked down, which has all of the resources within its radius, and you can actually see over there it's more bluey mountains, while over this way it's a lot more red colored mountains and red areas. So you can see this is where these two biomes have actually met together, and this is what you need in order to get the different resources all in one spot, such as the iron from the mountains and the aluminium of the craters area. So I've just plonked this down, as you've seen, and one thing that I recommend you do is walk up to your outpost. By the way, if you ever want to remove an outpost, this is how you do it. You walk up and you hold the R key. If you want to rename it, you tap the R key, and you can see here I've renamed mine based on the resources here. So while you're in the star map, it's really easy to remember where your resources are. So we've got helium, aluminium, iron, and beryllium in this one outpost. So I've renamed it like that just to make it a bit easier for yourself in the future. Another really helpful quick tip: if you open your scanner up and you press the R key as if you were placing another outpost down, this will actually take you straight into build mode while you're in the range of one of your outposts. So you don't actually have to walk up to the building or anything. You can just do this anywhere. So a couple helpful tips there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the bird's eye view, and we're going to zoom out a bunch, and you can see the radius of our outpost highlighted around here. So we've already got the exact amount of building materials that we need, so we can start building. As you can see here, our helium is right on the edge, so it can be a bit finicky like this because you're trying to get so many resources into one spot. It still works with it being on the edge, but sometimes you can only get 2 or 3 extractors, maybe even 1 in some cases, depending on how close to the edge it is. So as you can see, we've budgeted enough to build 3 of each extractor, so we'll plonk down our helium extractor. Now we're going to be looking for our aluminium. You can see here another one kind of on the edge. Again, we've budgeted enough for 3 extractors of each, so we'll plonk those down. Then we have some beryllium, which this is actually a pretty big beryllium vein, so not too bad for us. I'll try and just space everything out so we can kind of keep everything on the edge anyway. Beryllium has a bit of a bigger radius on its extractors. And then finally the iron, which as you can see is going to be all the way over here right on the edge, and it's going to be in sort of bluer area. You can actually see here the more reddy colored and the more bluey colored because the two biomes are meeting. It's the only way to get all these resources in one. I actually may have messed up that placement a bit by not putting it right on the edge. So what we can actually do, I'm pretty sure when you delete anything in your outposts, it will actually just refund the materials anyway, so it's not too bad. So we might only be able to get 2 iron extractors here just because of the unlucky kind of positioning that we have with it being like literally right on the edge. So I'm just going to try and spam E as it eventually highlights for me. Boom, there we go. And then maybe, here we go, boom, we got 3. So it can be a bit finicky, but as you can see there, with it being right on the edge for every single resource, we've still managed to get all 3 of our extractors down, which which again is in the resources that we budgeted for. So now we are going to need power for them. So I'm just literally going to put down a bunch of these solar arrays. We've actually budgeted for 10, of these solar arrays, which sounds like a lot, but they're only giving us 6 power each, and we do have quite a lot of extractors here. So we're going to literally just plonk all of these down. So we got 8 and 10. So there we go. We needed 60 power. So again, at the bottom right of the screen, you can see we power needed 60 and then total power 60. So now all of our extractors are working. Because we are harvesting the helium, we could actually build a fuel generator and have that all connected. And I think depending on how many extractors of helium you have, you can actually produce more than it takes. However, because this planet's not too bad for solar power, with each one giving 6, building 10 solar arrays is actually going to cover us perfectly. So next up, we're going to build a bunch of storage. And I'm going to do this in the middle around our outpost point, because that's where you fast travel to. So it'll just be a bit easier for us to pick up. So what we can do is have 2 like that. And I'm going to space them out so that each resource has its own like dedicated container. So let's do 2 like that. So we do have 3 mineral resources and 2 gas resources. They're not going to be completely perfectly positioned. So there's our 3 solids. And then obviously we have helium as well. So then we can place down this and this for the helium. Now for the absolute, the fun part, the last finishing touches, is building the output link. So we can right click on our extractor, makes this a red wire. You may have seen my previous tutorial on this. And then we just simply link it to, for this one it's helium, so it has to go to a gas container. So what we're going to do is output all of these heliums into this gas container. We just link them one at a time. Again, it can be any distance. It doesn't really matter. It's just literally going to put them straight in there for us. And then we're going to output this box into the one next to it. So as it feeds into this box, it will pass into this box. So they will both fill up over time. Next, let's go over to our iron extractors. And we'll do the same thing, but this time for a solid box. We'll just link them here. And this way, we're going to have all these boxes filled with these resources. So we can just land here and pick up basically 2 full stacks of each of these resources. As you're playing, and to be honest, they fill up with 3 extractors as well. They fill up pretty quick. You could build crew stations, and next, sorry, we're going to do the beryllium here next. You could build crew stations and assign crew members, and it will increase production and all that kind of stuff. But I have found that, you know, if you're going and doing a bunch of missions and then coming back, they're all full anyway. So it's really not needed. You can just literally leave it. You don't have to build a crew unless you particularly want to make a base, which is absolutely fine. You can do that. I've already done that on other planets, so I don't really feel the need to do it here. But I'm just saying from a resource production point of view, it doesn't seem to actually make a very big difference. So finally, as you can see I'm doing here, we're just putting the aluminium, or aluminum, depending on how you want to say it, into our boxes. And we've connected all these boxes to each other so they'll both be filling up as well. So with all of that built, you can see here that our gas box is already filling up, 9 helium in there. And then over here, I believe we have an iron box, which is already filling up iron. Over here, we already have the beryllium filling up, so we've got 12 of it already. And over here, we have the aluminium or aluminum filling up. And this way, we have a bunch of the resources that we need early on for a lot of building and modding. People are saying, why do you need these resources? They don't really sell for much, but there are missions where you can create cargo links and that will give you credits. But the main reason is because a lot of these resources are simply going to be needed. So go back into bird's eye view. The iron, the aluminum, the helium, and even beryllium are very commonly needed materials that you need for crafting things in your outpost or crafting mods onto your spacesuits and weapons. Now this is set up. Now you know the location and the method to find an outpost like this. You can go and recreate this and use my resource list that I had at the beginning. I really hope that helps. I will just quickly mention what you can do if you want to expand on this further is look into building the cargo link into systems. Now if you do this, because we have helium on this planet anyway, you could then hook it all up so that because it requires helium to operate, and then you could use this as an export to your main base and basically send the resources from here to your main base. But that's a bit more complicated and is a video for another time, but that is the next step for improving this outpost. So you could either convert this into your main base, or you could then send this off to your main base and have all your resources collected in one spot by using the intersystem cargo link. But as you can see here, we've got 4 resources in one outpost location, so we're saving those precious outposts. I've showed you guys the method, the resources needed. I really hope this helps you guys out. Let me know in the comments if you have any outpost tips, certain locations where there's loads of resources or anything like that, and we can all learn together as a community. And the 2 videos on the screen now, we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. Of course, you don't have to watch them, but we have loads of Starfield videos and guides on the channel, so check out the channel or these 2 videos on the screen, and then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.